All right, guys, today is a special day for our Read Aloud of Wonder because it is the last day that we will be reading and listening to Wonder. So when you're finished listening to this video today, if you go to clever.com and you type in our school as Caseyville Elementary and then you click sign in with Google, you can log on to Clever. And if you go to Clever, there is the Scholastic tab that we've been using at school all year, where then you can take a reading counts test on Wonder. And if there are any books while you're at home that you want to take a test on, you can do that on Wonder and let me know, and we'll keep track so that we can get Jolly Ranchers when we go back to school. But I would encourage you all to take the test on Wonder because this is a lot of words that we read or listened to. So make sure that you take a test on this if you have the chance, okay? And if not, we'll take them when we get back to school. All right, so we left off on Augie's graduation. He is graduating from 5th grade, and we left off on right after Mr. Tushman's big speech. Okay, so we're on the awards chapter. Awards. I liked Mr. Tushman's speech, but I have to admit, I kind of zoned out a little during some of the other speeches. I tuned in again as Miss Rubin started reading off the names of the kids who made the high honor roll because we were supposed to stand up when our names were called. So I patiently listened for my name as she went down the list alphabetically. Reed Kinsley, Maya Markowitz, August Pullman. I stood up. Then she finished reading off the names. She pulled us all to face the audience and take a bow, and everyone applauded. I had no idea where in the huge crowd my parents might be sitting. All I could see were the flashes of light from people taking photos and parents waving at their kids. I pictured Mom waving at me from somewhere even though I couldn't see her. Then Mr. Tushman came back to the podium to present the medals for academic excellence. And Jack was right. Exmei Chen won the gold medal for overall academic excellence in the 5th grade. Charlotte won the silver. Charlotte also won a gold medal for music. Amos won the medal for overall excellence in sports, which I was really happy about because ever since the nature retreat, I considered Amos to be like one of my best friends in school. But I was really thrilled when Mr. Tushman called out Summer's name for the gold medal in creative writing. I saw Summer put her hand over her mouth when she was called, and when she walked up onto stage, I yelled, "Woohoo, Summer!" as loudly as I could, though I don't think she heard me. After the last name was called, all the kids who had just won awards stood next to each other on stage, and Mr. Tushman said to the audience, "Ladies and gentlemen, I am very honored to present to you this year's Beecher Prep School Scholastic Achievers. Congratulations to all of you." I applauded as the kids on stage bowed. I was so happy for Summer. "The final award this morning," said Mr. Tushman after the kids on stage have returned to their seats, "is the Henry Ward Beecher Medal to honor students who have been notable or exemplary in certain areas throughout the school year. Typically, this medal has been our way of acknowledging volunteerism or service to the school. I immediately figured Charlotte would get this medal because she organized the coat drive this year, so I kind of zoned out a bit again. I looked at my watch. 10:56. I was getting hungry for lunch already. Henry Ward Beecher was, of course, the 19th century fiery sermonizer for human rights, and whom this school was named. Mr. Tushman was saying when I started paying attention again. While reading up on his life in preparation for this award, I came upon a passage that he wrote that seemed particularly consistent with the themes I touched on earlier, themes I've been ruminating on all year. Not just the nature of kindness, but the nature of one's kindness, the power of one's friendship, the test of one's character, the strength of one's courage. And here, the weirdest thing happened. Mr. Tushman's voice cracked a bit, like he got all choked up. He actually cleared his throat and took a big sip of water. I started paying attention for real now to what he was saying. "The strength of one's courage," he repeated quietly, nodding and smiling. He held up his right hand like he was counting off. Courage, kindness, friendship, character. These are the qualities that define us as human beings and propel us on occasion to greatness. And this is what the Henry Ward Beecher Medal is all about, recognizing greatness. But how do we do that? How do we measure something like greatness? Again, there's no yardstick for that kind of thing. How do we even define it? Well, Beecher actually had an answer for that. He put his reading glasses on again, leafed through a book, and started to read. "Greatness," wrote Beecher, "lies not in being strong, but in the right using of strength. He is the greatest whose strength carries up the most hearts." And again, out of the blue, he got all choked up. He put his 2 index fingers over his mouth for a second before continuing. He is the greatest, he finally continued, whose strength carries up the most hearts by the attraction of his own. Without further ado, this year, I am very proud to award the Henry Ward Beecher Medal to the student whose quiet strength has carried up the most hearts. So, will August Pullman please come up here to receive this award? Floating. People started applauding before Mr. Tushman's words actually registered in my brain. I heard Maya, who was next to me, give a little happy scream when she heard my name, and Miles, who was on the other side of me, patted my back. "Stand up, get up," said kids all around me, and I felt lots of hands pushing me upward, out of my seat, guiding me to the edge of the row, patting my back, high-fiving me. "Way to go, Augie." "Nice going, Augie." I even started hearing my name being chanted, "Augie, Augie, Augie." I looked back and saw Jack leading the chant, fist in the air, smiling and signaling for me to keep going, and Amos shouting through his hands, "Woohoo, little dude!" Then I saw Summer smiling as I walked past her row, and when she saw me look at her, she gave me a secret little thumbs up and mouthed the silent, cool beans to me. I laughed and shook my head like I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. I think I was smiling. Maybe I was beaming. I don't know. As I walked up the aisle towards the stage, all I saw was a blur of happy, bright faces looking at me and hands clapping for me. And I heard people yelling things out at me. "You deserve it, Augie. Good for you, Augie." I saw all my teachers in the aisle seats, Mrs. Brown and Mrs. Pasoda and Mrs. Roche and Miss Ananaban and Nurse Molly and all the others, and they were cheering for me, woohooing and whistling. I felt like I was floating. It was so weird. Like the sun was full of shining force on my face and the wind was blowing. As I got closer to the stage, I saw Miss Rubin waving at me from the front row. And then next to her was Mrs. G, who was crying hysterically, a happy crying, smiling and clapping the whole time. As I walked up the steps to the stage, the most amazing thing happened. Everyone started standing up. Not just the front rows, but the whole audience suddenly got up on their feet, whooping, hollering, and clapping like crazy. It was a standing ovation for me. I walked across the stage to Mr. Tushman, who shook my hand with both of his hands and whispered in my ear, "Well done, Augie." Then he placed the gold medal over my head, just like they do in the Olympics, and had me turn to face the audience. It felt like I was watching myself in a movie, almost like I was someone else. It was like that last scene in Star Wars Episode 6, A New Hope, when Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Chewbacca were all being applauded for destroying the Death Star. I could almost hear the Star Wars theme music playing in my head as I stood on the stage. I wasn't even sure why I was getting this medal, really. No, that's not true. I knew why. It's like people you see sometimes. You can't imagine what it would be like to be that person, whether it's somebody in a wheelchair or somebody who can't talk. Only I know that I'm that person to other people, maybe to every single person in this whole auditorium. To me, though, I'm just me, an ordinary kid. But hey, if they want to give me a medal for being me, that's okay. I'll take it. I didn't destroy a Death Star or anything like that, but I did get through the 5th grade, and that's not easy, even if you're not me. Pictures. Afterward, there was a reception for the 5th and 6th graders at a huge white tent in the back of the school. All the kids found their parents. I didn't mind at all when Mom and Dad hugged me like crazy, or when Via wrapped her arms around me and swung me left and right about 20 times. Then Papa and Tata hugged me, and Aunt Kate and Uncle Po and Uncle Ben, everyone kind of teary-eyed, wet-cheeked. But Miranda was the funniest. She was crying more than anyone and squeezed me so tight that Via had to practically pry her off of me, which made them both laugh. Everyone started taking pictures of me and pulling out their flips, and then Dad got me, Summer, and Jack together for a group shot. We put our arms around each other's shoulders for the first time I can remember. I wasn't even thinking about my face. I was just smiling a big, fat, happy smile for all the different cameras clicking away at me. Flash, flash, click, click. Smiling away at Jack's parents and Summer's mom started clicking. Then Reed and Maya came over. Flash, flash, click, click. Then Charlotte came over and asked if she could take a picture with us. And we were like, sure, of course. And then Charlotte's parents were snapping away. in our little group along with everyone else's parents. And then the next thing I knew, the 2 Maxes had come over, and Henry's and Miles and Savannah. Then Amos came over and Esme. They were all in this big tight huddle as parents clicked away like we were on the red carpet somewhere. Luca, Isaiah, Nino, Pablo, Tristan, Ellie. I lost track of who else came over. Everyone, practically. All I knew for sure is that we were all laughing and squeezing tight against each other, and no one seemed to care if it was my face that was next to theirs or not. In fact, I don't mean to brag here, but it kind of felt like everyone wanted to get close to me. The walk home. We walked to our house for cake and ice cream after the reception. Jack and his parents and his little brother, Jamie, Summer, and her mom. Uncle Poe, Aunt Kate, Uncle Ben, Tata, Papa, Justin, Via, and Miranda, Mom and Dad. It was one of those great June days when the sky is completely blue and the sun is shining, but it isn't so hot that you wish you were on a beach somewhere. It was just the perfect day. Everyone was happy. I still felt like I was floating, the Star Wars hero music in my head. I walked with Summer and Jack, and we just couldn't stop cracking up. Everything made us laugh. We were in that giggly kind of mood where all someone has to do is look at you and you start laughing. I heard Dad's voice up ahead and looked up. He was telling everyone a funny story. As they walked down Aimforest Avenue, the grown-ups were all laughing too. It was like Mom always said, Dad could be a comedian. I noticed Mom wasn't walking with the group of grown-ups, so I looked behind me. She was hanging back a bit, smiling to herself like she was thinking of something sweet. She seemed happy. I took a few steps back and surprised her by hugging her as she walked. She put her arms around me and gave me a squeeze. Thank you for making me go to school, I said quietly. She hugged me close and leaned down and kissed the top of my head. Thank you, Augie, she said softly. For what? For everything you've given us, she said, for coming into our lives, for being you. She bent down and whispered in my ear, you really are a wonder, Augie. You are a wonder. And that's the end. The last thing in here, they have a list of all of Mr. Brown's precepts, the ones that I put on the bulletin board outside our room. And then they also give you the ones that sent in the postcards to Mr. Brown from all the other kids. So I can just read a couple of them, like Julian's precept, which is interesting because he's not coming back to Beecher Prep. His is sometimes it's good to start over, by Julian Albus, and he wrote his own quote. Jack or Summers is, if you can get through middle school without hurting anyone's feelings, that's really cool beans. And Summer, she wrote her own. Jack Will's precept says, keep calm and carry on. Some saying from World War II. And August Pullman's is, everyone in the world should get a standing ovation at least once in their life, because we all overcometh the world. And that's from Augie. All right, so pretty good book. He is a wonder. All right, so again, if you need help trying to figure out the Clever situation, again, you just type in clever.com, you use your sign in with Google, and you sign in with the same account that you sign in with Google Classroom, and you can try to take a test on this. All right, see you guys tomorrow. You'll have to find out what our new read aloud is tomorrow. Awesome. See you then.